Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tales from the Customer. In today's episode, the tale of the irate sandwich maker and my cowardly husband. A tale of banality, or how I cancelled my credit card. After 6 months I'm done. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. The tale of the irate sandwich maker and my cowardly husband. I read a story here on Reddit about an irritated sandwich maker, and it transported me back 10 years to this whopper of a story. A personal fact about me is that I have the opposite of RBF. My husband has dubbed it resting friendly face, RFF, and lightheartedly teases me about it as I cannot go anywhere without a stranger approaching me about something. About a decade ago, I, 20, was in the wall of marts in a small college town with my then boyfriend, M25, spoiler alert, I still married him after this. Inside this wall of marts was a place where you can eat fresh subs however you want them. I would never say this place was my top 10 favorite eateries, but well, we were hungry. So, we hop in line, about 2 to 3 customers deep, and immediately notice the sandwich maker, SM, is agitated, tossing the bread down, chucking empty containers onto the floor, whispering to himself in an angry way. We go to leave the line, because he's about 2 steps away from murdering everyone with the 4 bread knives stabbed into the loaves next to him, but I made the mistake of looking up. My dumbass locked eyes with the barely holding it together SM. SM half shrieked / half exclaimed, "Everyone in line gets a BOGO sub. Don't go anywhere. You'll never get a deal like this." Well, what are we to do but follow orders, I suppose? SM is more agitated than ever, but we're stuck here. We watch as he makes the man's order in front of us. "Do you want double meat?" "You'll get double meat. No extra charge." "How much lettuce?" "This is surely enough." "This dressing?" "You just tell me when, as dressing just pours out onto this poor man's sub. Insane amount of meat and toppings, soaked in dressing, and there's nothing that can be done." The man pays for the sub and hastily turned away. "No tip." "Why wouldn't you leave a tip?" The man literally sprinted away. Now I'm freaking out because we usually don't carry cash, and at this point, and maybe still, there isn't a tip option when you sign the receipt. He comes back to take our order, and he angrily throws a few of the almost empty metal containers against the floor, somewhat towards the kitchen door, food streaking the floor. By now, he's attracted the attention of shoppers, but if there's a security guard, we never did see him. Now that we're close enough to hear his angry whispers, and I notice his excessive glaring at the clock, I put together that he's upset because a coworker is late to relieve him of his shift. He takes our orders, muttering to himself about tips and his colleague, and half yelling to us about the deal we're getting, as he shovels meat onto the subs, drowning them in all of the toppings. They're so full that the bread can't handle the weight of the toppings, and they begin to overflow out of the sides as he wraps them. True to his word, we get 4 subs for the price of 2, the plastic bags sagging with the weight. We pay and tip and do as the other man had done, and sprint away. His co-worker shows up and, as to be expected, he screams at her, chucks off his apron, and to the best of our knowledge, leaves. But we came to the wall of marts to get a video game, and despite the scene we just witnessed, we decided to stay. We split up, my boyfriend going down a few aisles while I stayed in another, looking at some games. Well, we were wrong about SM leaving. My RFF force field must have drew him in, and now, there was no escape. I whipped around looking for my 6 feet 5 inches boyfriend, desperately hoping he'd come rescue me. But he noped right of there, nowhere to be seen, leaving me alone with SM. I keep my gaze on the game in front of me, doing my best to appear as if I didn't see him. He hovers nearby, clearly pretending he's very interested in the game next to mine. He's still very riled up, but is not longer panting and seething. We have a chat about the game. He'd beaten it 3 times already, his employer, his co-worker, and whatever the hell else he wanted to talk about. Meanwhile, my boyfriend is lurking 3 aisles away, being absolutely no help, despite my pleading glances. He babbled at me for 10 minutes until I was able to squeeze in that my boyfriend was waiting for me, I gestured towards my boyfriend, who gave a sheepish wave. "Oh, he's with you? Well, if you ever decide to leave him, here's my number. I'm planning on dumping my girlfriend too." Rather presumptuous, but okay. And that's how I never ate at Eat Fresh ever again, and never trusted my boyfriend, now husband, to ever save me from social situations. Disclaimer: my husband says he would have stepped in if he needed to. I would say he's improved in that area, but I'd be lying. Note: the subs were absolutely disgusting. To this day, I still feel bad about how much food we threw away that day. A tale of banality, or how I cancelled my credit card. For reference, I am a UK citizen, working on a 6-month contract on a remote island. I have access to the internet, but no ability to make/receive phone calls, or send/receive text messages. There is also no functioning postal service in the region. The antagonists of the tale are employees of one of the big credit card providers in the UK, hereafter referred to as CC and E1, E2, E3 and E4. I receive a statement from CC telling me there is an outstanding balance due on my account. I haven't used my card since December 2020, so I'm immediately suspicious. I have had my details stolen previously, and used fraudulently, through a reputable third-party website. Upon checking, it was a renewal payment for a subscription I had previously cancelled before I left the UK. I contacted the business responsible, sending them their cancellation email as confirmation, and they refunded the payment. As it was paid in a different currency, the exchange rate difference left an outstanding balance of 1 penny on my account. No problem, I foolishly thought, I can pay that off and clear the balance. Not so fast. I log into CC's website and attempt to pay the balance, but it falls below my minimum payment, so I am not able to complete the transaction. I also attempt to pay the minimum payment, but the website will not allow me to put my account into credit. I'll just find some contact details and message them to get it sorted. Again, not so fast. The website live chat is out of action while it's being upgraded. I download CC's app, but it needs to send a text message to confirm and register my details. The Apple live chat? My phone is an Android. Call these numbers? No mobile phone access. Send us a letter? No postal service. All secure channel options exhausted. I send a message using the new customer link, outlining my issue paying and asking for assistance. No account details or sensitive information submitted. E1 responds: "This is not a secure channel to discuss account queries. Please use our secure services, outlined above." I return a message indicating that I am not discussing my account, just the website functionality for resolving my payment issue. I include an explanation of why I can't access the secure channels. E1 responds again, almost a copy-paste of his previous message. My next message, after questioning whether either of my messages were read and understood, reiterates my issue and the lack of options for contacting them securely. I even offer an alternative, contacting me through a web-based phone service. E2 now gets involved, again almost a word-for-word repetition of E1's message, and informing me my alternative is also unsecure. Clearly having not had enough of banging my head against a brick wall, I reply, carefully outlining my issue with paying, and how I cannot contact them through secure channels. Pretty soon, this farce is passed on to E3. Again, no sign that any of the messages have been read, or a potential solution to my issue, just more time wasting. At the end of E3's final message is the immortal line: "Your reference number is XXXX, we will be contacting you soon." I somehow resist the urge to email E3 back asking them how they plan on contacting me, and instead write a 2-page pedantic rant about the general banality of the situation, and the inability to help me. It also contains a few words about how I'm potentially going to be charged extra fees for non-payment, and then have to deal with an escalating bill before I return to the UK to be able to address the payment, along with the stress and sleepless nights it is going to cause. I top it off by telling them to close my account, after the obstructive lack of assistance I've had in solving a basic issue. I've only used the card twice in the last 2 years, so I'm not likely to miss having it. I email it to my sister, asking her to print it out, stuff it in an envelope with a penny, and send it to them. A couple of days later, she sends me a screenshot of the letter E4 has sent back. Besides a very formal explanation of all of the secure channels I could have used to solve the problem, see above, my favorite snippets were: "We tried to contact you by phone, but were unable to reach you." Oh, really? Like I said you wouldn't be able to? "Through a gesture of goodwill, we have written off the outstanding balance of 1 penny on your account, and we have closed it at your request." Goodwill, eh? Glossed over the passive-aggressive penny on the envelope, did we? "We are sorry to hear that you feel your problem has been dealt with in a banal way." Are you? Because you haven't dealt with the problem at all. And, my personal favorite: "It is possible to make any payment to your account by logging into our website and using our Make a Payment function, with no further explanation on how I could clear the balance if the figure falls outside of the website's payment criteria." I guess it's all my own fault for expecting a company to not request a payment for a cancelled subscription, and for taking a work contract that leaves me outside of mobile network coverage. After 6 months, I'm done. Not sure at doctor's office stories are allowed here, so I'm trusting the mods to tell me if I'm wrong. On computer, but dyslexic, so might be typos. So I have chronic migraines. They're severe enough that I've been federally declared disabled. I get 4 days per month with no headache. It's fun. So for treatment, I've been seeing the same neurologist since early 2019. He is wonderful, no complaints. But the office staff is just abysmal. So what happened is, come January 2021, my insurance was switched. I was unaware this would happen, or I would have prepared for it. Anyway, new insurance will not cover my medicine from the neurologist. No negotiating, it's not happening. So I call his office. Explained my situation and was told I'd be called back. A week later I called again and was told there was no record of my call. They'd get back to me. Another week of nothing, so I tried the patient portal. No response. At this point my meds are nearly gone and I can't get a refill. I started calling daily and they'd put me on hold and then hang it up. So I called my pharmacy while shooting off emails via the portal for help. Pharmacist told me not to wean off of the meds, and that I absolutely needed to get my doctor to authorize a refill. Insurance was still not budging. Fast forward to March. I have an appointment coming up. Great. But then I finally got the giant book of what we cover from my insurance company, and guess what? They only cover ER visits and some prescriptions. I ended up having to cancel that appointment online. I was still calling daily at this point, but never got farther than the receptionist. Got my insurance sorted before the end of April, thankfully, and everything backdated. So now I'm trying to get an appointment. For 4 months I called them and tried to set up an appointment via the portal. And for 4 months I had radio silence on their end. Now it's the beginning of August. Guess who calls? Apparently I'm due for a follow-up appointment. Who would have guessed? So I set one and asked why I wasn't getting called back. At this point I was still trying to give the benefit of the doubt that maybe I had an old phone number on their records or something. Reception didn't know. Appointment was set for late October. Come September we have a new problem. My car will not make the 45-minute drive. Heck, I don't even like driving locally with it. We're working on leasing something that doesn't have an exhaust pipe in the grave. It's pretty much a turn the key and pray it stays in one piece type of car. No problem, I think. The global fun times is still a thing, so switching to telehealth should be easy. All my other providers do it, no questions asked. I was so wrong. 2 weeks ago I called to try to swap it. The nurse who picked up was very against the idea, but couldn't give me a reason why. Said she'd talk to a higher up and call me back. Surprisingly, I did get called back, at 8 a.m. I have chronic insomnia, so this was greatly upsetting. I'd been asleep for less than an hour at that point. This nurse had no idea why she was calling because the previous one didn't leave any notes. Great. I explained to her my travel woes and asked the appointment be switched to telehealth. She was skeptical that the neurologist would go for it, but promised to call back in the next half hour. She never did. So the next day I called them, and there were again no notes left behind. I was told I'd be called back. Today I was finally called back. The nurse told me that in no uncertain terms that I was expected to come for an in-person appointment or my doctor would no longer prescribe me any medication. I pointed out a few key points. I've been trying to make an appointment for a long time, and they weren't responding. Nothing has been prescribed to me in over a year, and I've been muddling along as best I can with no treatment. Her threat means nothing. She claimed my insurance would cover travel. This is false. I'd already checked with them previously, and they told me no. However, if I wanted to go to the ER, they'd cover the wee-woo wagon. Good to know for the future, but not helpful at the moment. She then decided to address point 1 by telling me she had over 600 emails to sort through. It took her time, so she couldn't call anyone. For 6 months. Hung up the call. Wifey was listening since I put it on speaker. She doesn't get mad at things. She's usually very understanding. So it was surprising when she went, "How exactly is that your problem?" I ended up just canceling the appointment and making one with my PCP to get referred elsewhere. I'm done playing stupid games.